Hi, Misha here, and it's time for another gun of the day. These are mini episodes, very informal, no research, just really hanging out. I pull out personal guns, and in the first episode, I showed my trusty old Romanian SAR-1 7.62x39, and so now, because it deserves its time, let's take a look at my SAR-2. I think if I can unfold this stock single-handed, let's figure it out together. No, I cannot. Oh well. I've had this gun nearly as long as my SAR-1, and in some ways longer. Now, I bought this a year or so, maybe 2 years after my SAR-1, but as I said in that SAR-1 video, it actually spent some time with my dad for a few years, trading around and whatnot before I traded back for it. This one, though, has never left my possession. Even when I was overseas, it just stayed in my gun safe. And in some ways, this is an even more special gun to me. The SAR-1, went to a gun store, bought it, had fun with it, first AK I ever owned. SAR-2, though, was kind of my first special order gun, one of the first I really saved up money to get. And in the early 2000s, you did not see 5.45 guns. There really weren't any options, and this was about the only thing on the market then. This even was before the Arsenal SLR-105s came. So aside from some kit builds, this was the only import. I mean, aside from other versions like the Romak-II, of course, the Kur-II, the Wum-II, but those are all Romanian. And the 5.45 cartridge was not well known in America in the late 90s, early 2000s. But of course, even then it had that mystique of being the poison bullet. So most of what was known about it kind of came out of all the Afghan doings. And I would have bought this before all the surplus ammo came into the country. So back then, if you wanted ammo, you pretty much bought commercial Wolf. And it only was imported a couple of times a year. So it would have been one of the first guns, too, that I kind of saved up for and bought ammo by the case for. One good thing, because the demand was relatively low, magazines were easy to get. I remember I bought some quote-unquote pre-banned Bulgarian mags from Kvar for $8.99 in new old stock condition. Now when you bought these, they did come with one of my favorite slings, the green sling, cleaning kit. They came with a short 5 or 10 round steel mag, and they came with a pre-banned Bakelite mag. Now Romania used steel mags in these, because when they developed the PA-86, their military version, they really based it on the AKM. So the mags were just scaled down for 5.45. But Century shipped these with East German DDR Bakelite mags because they knew that they were pre-1994. Because when the SAR-2 came in, 1999 through 2003, the federal assault weapons ban was very much in effect, and magazines needed to have been made September 1994 or before. Much like the SAR-1, these came in with a fixed buttstock, standard black pistol grip, palm swell handguards, no muzzle device, no bayonet lug. Sometimes they would have a cap on the end, but under it may or may not be a thread. Often no. But unlike some other imports from the 90s. They did at least have the cleaning rod under the barrel. And for a lot of us, this was our first experience with a, quote, AK-74. And much like my SAR-1, this one has been dressed up quite a bit over the years, having different furniture. Early on, I put Bulgarian black polymer on it to make a quasi-AK-74 clone, and that worked well. But over the years, I pieced together parts to make it into a PA-86. This stock I actually bought in 2003 from Florida Gunworks. Yes, it was during the ban. Yes, it was technically illegal. No, I really don't give a shit now because that ban is 15 years in the past. Anyway, I'm sure I didn't put it on the gun until after the ban sunset in 2004, right? Finding dong handguards was not too big of a deal back then, but actually the parts that were hard to find, the 22mm front sight base, the proper Romanian muzzle brake, the Romanian Bakelite upper, and this upswept charging handle. Now, more recently, thanks to Arms of America, because they brought in some kits, you can find these parts. But along with finding the proper steel mags, and the only reason I didn't put one in here is because I just didn't have one to hand, and this was laying on the table. But it'll take any AK-74 mag. Although the spec for the well is just ever so slightly different. So sometimes the Romanian steel mags don't fit perfectly in, say, a Bulgarian gun. But I digress. But it was a lot of fun to put together, and I find it a lot of fun to shoot, even so many years later. It has been 100% reliable. This is a true import. This is not a kit gun, so you have a chrome line, cold hammer forged barrel. You have a proper 1mm stamped receiver. Because it is an SAR-2, not a Wasser-2, you do have the nice deep Magwell Dimples. Takes standard stocks in the back or the poker. This is the military style push button. There's also a lever style, more like an East German stock that Romania made. Have Romanian concave grip. But yeah, I've done several videos really getting into the history and the specs of these, but this gun has been with me a very long time, and at least up until very recently, it was a sleeper gun. People were always looking for the Arsenal SLR 105s, F104 FRs, other imports, and these were just kind of hanging out in the 600 to 700 range. And this is a true import. Now, it's not really a true 74 because the PA-86 is kind of its own thing. For example, you notice it does have a externally 45-degree gas block, although internally it's not quite. And yes, you do need to do some work to them to restore them, but that can just be part of the fun. But, you know, in more recent times, these have finally started to get some recognition, which they deserve. The SAR-3 is pretty much the same gun, but in 5.56 NATO, 223, just so you know. But yeah, it was the first special order gun I had, and I actually saved up an entire semester when I was in college, and had it come in right as I'd done my finals, and picked it up, and which is super stoked to have a 5.45 gun firing that poison bullet. I remember picking it up and then being over at a friend's house and just kept handling it and just being so happy that I had one. And still I'm happy to have it today, even though I have Vipers and Segas and Arsenals. It still is a great gun. And again, completely reliable, and yeah, just has a lot of sentimental value to me. So I'm curious, what was your, if you own any 5.45s, what was your first 5.45? And how do you like it? Do you still have it? By the way, I never really shot the corrosive 7 and 6 out of this thing. I'd already been shooting the commercial, and cleaning up that corrosive could be a mess, and I just didn't want to risk rusting out my gun. So I didn't. I appreciate you tuning in and hope you enjoy this kind of just, again, informal series. If you want more real meat and potatoes content, check out our playlist where we really do go into the history and variations in more detail. And if you'd like to help support the channel, please check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon next time.